Hello and welcome to Curtain Call. My name is Dahlia and this is the first video of my brand new theater themed YouTube channel. I just wanted to take a brief moment here at the beginning and explain the purpose of this channel and also what you can expect from me. So I am going to be coming to you with a theater lover's perspective in these videos. The reason I'm making this channel is because I absolutely love live theater. It's my favorite form of entertainment. I would much prefer to watch a play than a movie. And not only that, but I understand that theater is incredibly expensive and can be cost prohibitive for some people. So I want to provide reviews that will help you feel empowered to make a good decision when it comes to spending your money on Broadway or on a tour or something like that. That way, if there's a show and I talk about it and you're like, oh, I have no interest in seeing that, you know to skip it. Or vice versa, you're like, oh my gosh, I absolutely must see that. That sounds so much fun. I will try to keep them as spoiler free as possible, but due to the nature of the reviews, occasionally there might be a spoiler. If there is, I will give you plenty of warning ahead of time, but I'm not going to tiptoe around it. So if you are the type of person that considers introduction of characters a spoiler, then maybe don't watch reviews. The structure of my videos is going to be cut up into segments. So I'm going to talk about the set, I'm going to talk about the characters, I'm going to talk about the book, the score, and then also you're going to get an intermission from my boyfriend who is brand new to theater. He knows nothing about the shows that we're seeing. He doesn't know when we see Wicked, he doesn't know what happens in Act 2. The sweet baby that he is, he doesn't know. So he's going to bring it to you from the point of view of a person who likes theater but hasn't been around it and doesn't really know much about it. So think of him as a gauge for if your non-theater friends would like to go with you. He does love theater, and he hasn't not liked anything we've seen so far. So just take his point of view as, you know, a baseline for the average Joe Schmo. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about Shucked. Alright, so I was browsing shows to see and I came across Shucked and I thought that looked kind of fun, looked pretty cute, and it was not in my hometown. It wasn't in my home state actually. So we decided to take a day trip. We flew in on the first flight and flew out on the last flight to Dallas, and we saw Shucked at the Music Hall at Fair Park. Now the theater itself is very beautiful, and I must say there's one thing that they were doing that I loved that I haven't really seen a lot of other theaters do, which is they were actually live captioning everything in ASL, an American Sign Language. So there were two ladies sat up at the corner of the stage, just kind of off the stage. They were lit up, but it was a little bit more dim, and they were live interpreting everything into sign language. All right, so a little bit of history about Shucked, and for this part I am going to be referring to my notes. So Shucked opened on April 4th, 2023 at the Nederlander Theater, but it opened for previews on March 8th, 2023, so about 2 years ago from the time I'm making this video. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 30 minutes with one intermission. Intermission was 15 minutes. Book was written by Robert Horn. Score by Brandy Clark and Shane McAnally. Directed by Jack O'Brien. It closed on Broadway on January 14th, 2024, so about a year ago. It is currently on a North American tour, like I said previously, so try to see it if you can, if you're interested in it. It is actually going to be coming this year to the West End for a very limited run. It's already got a closing date and all of that. It's going to be there from May 10th, 2025 to June 14th, 2025 at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre. So I really hope that some of the UK-based theater critics will be able to go see this, because I would really love to hear their takes on it, specifically like Mickey Joe Theater. I would love to hear what he's got to say about it. They also performed at the 2023 Tonys, so you can see some clips of that. It was nominated for 9 Tonys, and Alex Newell won Best Featured Actor in a Musical that year. They played the role of Lulu, which was one of my favorite characters from the show, and if you want to find out why, you should stick around. So Shucked has no twists, no turns, no punches that aren't easy to expect from the beginning of the musical. As soon as you see kind of what the premise is, I feel like it's pretty easy to follow, which I feel like makes it more accessible to people who might not really enjoy theater, might just prefer a streamlined story that they don't have to pay super close attention to, and they can just enjoy the singing and dancing. which I believe there is a place for that kind of show in musical theater. So pretty much there's a town called Cobb County, and they are corn nuts. They are nuts for corn. They live for their corn. Then there's a problem with the corn. Somebody leaves to go find help with the corn. They bring somebody back to the town for a bunch of Shakespearean-esque shenanigans. And that's the story. Now, is it a deeply profound plot? No. Is it a completely new story that I have not heard before? Also no. Is it an entertaining piece of theater that got more than a few laughs from me? Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think Shucked knows exactly what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything else other than a goofy musical comedy, which really is a difficult genre to get right, but I think they do. I cannot tell you how many comedies I have seen that have not gotten so much of a smirk from me. I was laughing during the opening number. All right, so that is the introduction to Shucked and what I have to say about it. Here is the boyfriend intermission, and I will see you back in Act 2.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to, I guess this is the boyfriend intermission about Shucked. What a silly musical that was. Flew out to Texas on a whim to see it. It was available. Why not? It was a great musical. I knew absolutely nothing going into it. She just said, hey, there's one in Dallas. Let's go. We went. And I mean, truly, it was hilarious. I do remember laughing a lot. Did get a little stale with some of the actors. One of the actors specifically. Don't remember his name though. I'm not the best with names. Overall, I did enjoy it. It was definitely worth watching. I think all the songs were good. The Tampa song, hilarious. The set actually I thought was really cool for, I would say, such a low budget musical. I don't know if that's really a good description, but the songs were great. Some of them were quite funny. The story, it was mid, I would say. It was all right. It was watchable. The whole package though, it was a good time. It's hard for me to remember any like standout moments. I mean, other than Tampa, really. No, that stole the show for me. But the theater there in Dallas, I don't remember the name of it. I'm sure she's said it was a very pretty theater. I did take a few pictures there, upstairs and downstairs. Downstairs they had a bunch of playbills from all the plays that have been there. Super cool. Yeah, all in all, I did enjoy it. Costumes were good. I thought the set was really cool. The play with depth and everything. I'm kind of new to Broadway, so I'm just getting into how all that works. So the things I liked, it was very funny. The dance numbers were entertaining. The story, like I said, it's mid, but I did enjoy it overall. It was a good show. I would see it. I would give it maybe like a 3 out of 5 stars. But overall, I would definitely see it. If it's in your town, go check it out. It's worth a good laugh.
Welcome to Act 2. It is good to see you again. Let's start breaking down piece by piece Shucked. So the set is very simple. It looks like we're in a barn. There are a few stalks of corn that you can see off to the side, and then also through the slats in the barn. It's kind of not a very well constructed barn from the looks of it. A breeze would pass right through. You can see rows of corn outside through the slats in the corn. So the set is very simple, but I found it to be a little bit distracting in the fact that it's always there. Even when she is going to a different town to get help with the corn problem, there is still the barn behind her, even though she's portraying other stuff. Now there are other set pieces that they wheel in to make it a little bit more distinct, but you can still see the barn in the background, and I wish they had like completely shut off those lights in that section of the stage so that you couldn't see it at all, but I definitely could see it, and I felt like we were in a doctor's office inside of a barn. And I don't believe that the storyline of Shucked is so complex that we need to have the continuity of the barn. I feel like we could tell where we are no matter what in this, so it's an interesting choice. However, 99.9% of the story does take place in Cobb County. They're outside of Cobb County for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know, a couple songs, and then they're back. I understand why that was done. I just wish that they had done something else to kind of like completely make it seem like we were not in a barn still. That's my 2 cents on the set. Now, costumes are very simple. Everybody is in denim in some way. The only person who is not in denim is the outsider, Gordy Jackson, who is dressed like a used car salesman, which I found very appropriate for, and apologies to any used car salesman, but I found that very appropriate for his character because he's supposed to be more like a sleazeball and, you know, all that. Not saying that used car salesmen are sleazeball. That is the character archetype of sleazeball used car salesman kind of thing. You know, I'm thinking very much like Better Call Saul kind of character. Now, it was kind of hard from where we sat. We were pretty far back and I didn't have my binoculars that I usually bring to performances. So it was kind of hard for me to tell who's who. Because again, they're all dressed in denim. It's like some people have a denim vest, some people have denim shirts, denim pants, and then like button-ups. I'll insert some pictures of the cast so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, I feel like they could have made a couple choices to make it a little bit more distinct, and I think that should have been done with hats and hair and stuff like that. I think it would have been fantastic if Maisie had like, you know, like pigtail braids or like a bow in her hair or something like that, and I feel like that would have helped her stand out a little bit. Now, there aren't many female characters in this, so it wasn't really her that I had a problem with. I just felt like that could have helped her characterization a little bit. She's supposed to be this naive, doe-eyed girl, and I feel like that just would have helped that come across a little bit better. For the male characters, which there are a lot of in this, I feel like it would have been better to give them maybe a color. I understand that everybody is in denim, but somebody could have had a green shirt on, somebody could have had like a red shirt, somebody could have had on a cowboy hat or something like that. I felt like that would have helped the characters be a little bit more distinct in their portrayals, because right now they all kind of just look the same. Let me show some pictures and I'll show you what I mean. This is from the souvenir program that I bought. I love buying these. I can just show you this is a fun little corn flap, I guess. But everybody is just in, these are our storytellers, so they're kind of like our narrator characters. But everybody else, sorry for the glare, you can see they are just kind of in almost like a uniform. A lot of them have this this patchwork going on, and I just wish that it had been a little bit more distinct. And I just don't really feel like I was able to easily identify which character was on stage just by what they're wearing, which is nice because you have to take into consideration that sometimes people in the audience may be like visually impaired or things like that, and so it's easy to have all of the characters have a more defining feature about them versus just relying on their face and their voice, because sometimes generic man just sounds like generic man and just looks like generic man, and it's hard to remember like, oh, this character is supposed to be Gordy, this character is supposed to be Bo. It can be a little bit jarring sometimes. So a good example of characterization by costumes would be Hamilton. Thomas Jefferson's purple. They're very easy to recognize by that, and I just wish that they had done a little bit something like that with this. Somebody could have been wearing like a bright red t-shirt with a tractor on it or something, or somebody could have a yellow jacket on, like, you know, yellow and green, like John Deere colors, like the theming of the show. I feel like there were options that they could have done in order to make that. Now, it didn't really impact my enjoyment all that much because I was able to tell who is who and all of that, but I'm just thinking of like more visually impaired audience members that may have struggled with that a little bit more. So now let's talk about the book. The overview of the book is that Shucked is a very easy, comforting tale. You know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to know exactly how it's going to go. There's really no twists and turns and surprises. It's very much the story of any kind of con man that you would see in any kind of media. It's very much that story. Now, I believe that there is absolutely a place for just comforting stories that everybody knows the gist of, the archetype of, in musical theater. I don't think everything needs to be completely new and groundbreaking and all of this kind of stuff. I think there is absolutely a place for that, because sometimes when a plot is too complex, that can be kind of off-putting for people who don't usually go enjoy live theater. That might be a little bit, you know, if you're like, let's go see Othello, they might be like, oh, Thel, no. Shucked is not that. It's a very baseline, easily enjoyable story. Now, while I feel like the costumes may have been a little bit weak, I do feel like the book gave very strong characterization for all of the characters, which is not easy to do when it is a very male-heavy show. Now, one thing I did find a little bit confusing about the book was I just felt like there wasn't a good justification in the story for why Maisie had to be the one to leave the town. The big spoiler, I guess, she's the one that goes out. Okay, I feel like that's not hard to get. Like, she told people and then nobody really gave her any pushback or like, oh, I don't want to go, and then she was just like, well, I guess I have to be the one to go. I understand that it was just kind of like a story device, but I just wish that they had shown a little resistance from the other residents of Cobb County before they had just forced us to believe that she was the only one. Like, nobody really cared much when she told them, and nobody was really like, oh, that's a bad idea, I don't want to go out to the big scary world. She was just like, well, I guess it has to be me, and then off she went. So that's the only thing I felt like was just very weak in the book, but you know, it accomplished a goal. But like, also, try harder, girl. If you want to be the one to go, just say it. Not only are the characters strong, but they're also believable. I didn't feel like anybody was really a Mary Sue or didn't have personality trait, which I really appreciated in a musical comedy. I feel like oftentimes character building is not that strong in comedies, but this one did a fantastic job of that. Now, obviously, being a comedy, there's going to be jokes. There is some more adult humor in the show, and I feel like you should be aware of that. If you yourself are a child, and if you're a child, you should not be watching this, please go watch Gabby's Dollhouse or Bluey or something. And also, if you're trying to bring children with you to this, I actually overheard an usher say that they didn't know that kids were allowed at this production, if that gives you any idea. I don't think that the children would really understand a lot of the jokes, but I also don't know your kids. So my take, I wouldn't bring kids to this. I wouldn't bring my kids to this. No way. I don't have kids, but if I did, no. You can see it when you're like 14. There are 2 storyteller characters who serve as like a narrator in this story, and they just help move things along. They have no fourth wall whatsoever. They are addressing the audience the entire time, and they're also talking about it like the show is separate, and like they're, you know, talking to us just about a show that we're both witnessing. And one of them actually does join the cast for a song at one point, and it's really funny. It's a really good moment, and I enjoyed those characters quite a bit. I thought they were pretty funny, and also I felt like they were distinct enough in themselves to not just feel like a blank narrator character. I felt like, even though their names are Storyteller 1 and Storyteller 2, I felt like they were realistic narrators, I guess. Now, with that said, Shucked is a musical comedy, and those are very hard to write, but I believe Shucked does a really good job of it. It's hard to write comedy that will speak to a wide range of comedic tastes, and I heard everybody around us laughing for the entire show. It was very funny. So I do have some notes here on some more memorable jokes that they have, and some of the more PG lines that are pretty funny are, this isn't an argument, I'm right and you're just saying things. And if life were fair, mosquitoes would suck both fat and blood, and I liked both of those. They use shocking like language, I guess, there are a few times where I was like, wow, I can't believe they just said that. It was a little bit unexpected for this kind of comedy. I wasn't expecting a musical comedy about corn to have that kind of humor in it, which kind of caught me off guard a little bit as an audience member. And I went into Shucked pretty blind, so I didn't really know what the humor was going to be like, and I was kind of shocked at what they were joking about. Now, in what I've had to say about the characters, there is one character that I did not like, and let me just come out front and say that was not the character, it is 100% the book. This character is made of nothing but one-liners. I got exhausted by him after like the 3rd time he was on stage, and I realized that all this man does is just tell one-liners after one-liners after one-liners. They make a reference to him being addicted to drugs at one point, and I just felt like this character was kind of an empty husk of a shell that was just one-liners. This man was composed only of one-liners. I know nothing about him other than his name is Peanut, and he has a ton of stupid one-liners. Now listen, he did get a lot of laughs from the audience, but I just wish he would have had a little bit more of a story instead of his only personality trait being that he tells like one-liners. They're not even cohesive. It's just one-liners after one-liners after one-liners after one-liners. And I wish he had some kind of story other than being on drugs. I just wish he had some kind of personality trait. Does he have a wife? Does he have kids? Does he have a hobby other than drugs? I don't know. I didn't like that character. I feel like I kind of checked out whenever he was on stage because it was just one-liners. And like I said, by the 3rd time this man was on stage, I was exhausted by it. Now, like I said, not the performance at all. I believe the actor did a good job. I just believe the source material is very weak for this character. The songs and the performances of the musical numbers, the songs are pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not a score that is very memorable. There are a few memorable songs, but not many, and they're all very twangy, which I understand, but it's just, they put such a twang on it that it is almost comedic, and which, I mean, it's a musical comedy, but it's like a bad comedic, you know, like they're trying to be taken seriously, but they sound so ridiculous that it's making me laugh. Not the performances. I believe, again, the book. I believe, again, it's the fault of the book, not the performances whatsoever. Now listen, the songs are fun while they're being performed. They're catchy, they're nice, but I will not stream them. I didn't have any desire to buy the cast album, which I usually do, and I haven't listened to the soundtrack since we saw it, which is pretty uncommon for me. I listen to like 99.9% Broadway, like show tunes, so for me not to want to listen to this again is saying something, and I actually just listened to it again for the purpose of this video, and that was the first time I had played it since when we saw the show, which was December of 2024. Now, what is memorable about the musical numbers is the dancing. There is some fun dancing in this. In the souvenir program that I bought, they actually have a picture of one of the dances, and I want to come up and show you this because it's so fun. They're all lined up and they're holding these corn cobs, and what they do is they take the corn cobs and they do like a little tap dance with the corn cobs. There you can see, and that really had me laughing during the first number, and I thought that was so much fun. Another scene is when they're singing the song Best Man Wins, which is towards the end. They're dancing on top of barrels, and they turn off the stage lights that are directly on the lights, and they're just lit from the sides, and it is visually striking. It is really incredible. I really enjoyed that. Alright, so for performances, we saw an absolutely incredible cast. I'm going to put the names of the cast we saw right here because I don't want to have to read them out loud in case I mispronounce anybody's names. Mickey Abraham was a standout for me. Their voice was very rich and they gave a very captivating performance. I loved their portrayal of Lulu in this, and of course they sing the really fun song Independently Owned. I really liked it. I would love to see Mickey Abraham again, but I think I am shucked out. I do not fault Mike Nappy for the shortcomings of the Peanut character. I feel like the fault entirely lies with the book for that character. I feel like this actor gave a great portrayal of it, but how much artistry can you really do when your script is composed only of one-liners? What can you really do with that kind of source material? So again, I do not fault the actor whatsoever. I fault entirely the book. Quinn Van Antwerp played a really good Gordy Jackson. I feel like he was a fantastic sleazeball. Not that the actor himself is a sleazeball. I do not think that whatsoever. I don't know this man. But the Gordy Jackson character is a sleazeball, and I feel like with this type of character, it's really easy to go overboard and make it not believable and make it more like a caricature of the character. And I feel like he skirted that line perfectly for this. I feel like he was just hamming it up enough, but not too much to where it wasn't believable. There's one scene where he's pushing a rock, and it's really funny. His character was really funny. He got some good laughs, and he also did an incredible vocal performance, and really, really great actor. Would I see Shucked again? Yeah, I would. I don't think I would go far out of my way to see it. I don't believe that I would take another plane ride to Dallas and back in the same day to see it. That was an exhausting day. It was fun, but it was exhausting. I don't think I would do that again. But if it were streamable or playing in my hometown, then sure, I would totally go see it again. It's not bad, but it's just not a piece of theater that I feel like I would go out of my way to see again unless the opportunity were presented to me. I think you would enjoy this show if you are looking for a lighthearted comedy. First of all, if you like comedy, that's a big one, particularly if you like stand-up comedy and one-liners. That's what this humor consists mainly of. If you just want to go to a show and be entertained and laugh and look at the pretty dancing and listen to the pretty songs, you're gonna love this show. As long as you like that type of humor, which is very corny and punny. If you're going into it thinking it's gonna be like a lot of sarcastic jokes and things like that, then no, it's puns and one-liners and corny jokes, which this musical obviously does not pretend to be anything other than that. This musical is a typical crowd pleaser, easy to consume type of theater. Take your parents who don't normally see theater, as long as they're not easily offended by stuff. caveat there. Take your parents who don't normally see theater and they'll enjoy this, I believe. It's a safe bet. Now, I don't think you'll enjoy this musical if you go into it with the wrong expectations. If you expect anything other than a corny, silly, fun way to spend a few hours, you're not going to have a fun time. I mean, it's a musical about corn. Like, it's corn. What do you expect from this? I don't think you'll enjoy this show if you're easily offended by more adult humor, which if you are, this is probably not the channel for you. I'm just going to be honest with you. And then also, I don't think you'll enjoy this show if you are a child, because I do not believe that you should be there in the first place. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life and with your children and whatever, but I'm just telling you, you should look up some of the humor before you go and make that decision for you and your family before you go. I don't think I would want my children to hear those kind of jokes, but again, I'm not a parent. Grain of salt, take several. Alright, just wanted to show the merch that I got. So first of all, I got this shirt that says I got shucked. I thought it was cute. I liked it. So I bought it. Bought a window card for my window card collection, which big fan of these. If you want to, I think you need to, if you want to be a window card collector and you are going to have to travel on an airplane, you need to understand the size of this and think ahead of time of how you're going to get it home. I have some suggestions. Let me know if you'd be willing, if you are interested in seeing those. I got the souvenir program. Also a big fan of getting these. They always just have, like, you know, some information about the show. And then I also just got this keychain. It's just a corn cob and this says Shucked on it. My boyfriend and I have a key ring that we buy every year, and we get keychains from all of our travels and trips and stuff like that, and so I always get a keychain, and that's the merch I got. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on my first ever video. I really hope you'll come back and see what I have to say about some more other shows. We're only going to get better from here, only going to see more shows, only going to improve. Until the next time, I want to encourage you to get out into your local community, see something, do something, try something new. You're not going to regret it. So, what should I see next?